Hello, everyone, and welcome to CoSIDA Conversations, Episode 2, with the CoSIDA President and Executive Director. I'm Sam Atkinson, the 2020-2021 CoSIDA President and Associate Athletic Director for Communications at Gallaudet University. I'm here in Ellicott City, Maryland, outside of Washington, D.C., and I'm joined by CoSIDA Executive Director Doug Vance out in Tucson, Arizona. Doug, how's it going? And welcome back to CoSIDA Conversations.
Thanks, Sam. It's good to be back, and things are going okay. I've got a little bit of a voice issue, so I'll apologize, but things are going well.
That's great. I'm glad you're doing all right. A reminder to our audience about what CoSIDA Conversations is. This is a monthly conversation between the CoSIDA President and Executive Director to discuss all things CoSIDA, the profession, and our members. We want to make sure everyone knows what the organization is doing and discussing what items, projects, and initiatives we are working on. On this episode, Doug and I will provide some CoSIDA news updates as we have the chance to elaborate on some recent announcements. Plus, we'll be joined by our first guest as CoSIDA board member Denise Thompson of the Big Sky Conference stops by to join us to discuss CoSIDA's Racial and Social Justice Initiative. And most importantly, we want to hear from you, our members. Each episode, we will open up the mailbag and answer questions from our members, so don't forget to submit your questions online or DM us on Twitter at Sam Atkinson, SID, and at DVance, CoSIDA. So let's get started with our second episode. Thanksgiving is upon us, and this is going to be a different and challenging holiday for many of our members. Doug and I want to take a moment to pause and give thanks and share a few things we are thankful for as we keep in mind the different constant challenges we continue to face during 2020. So Doug, what are you thankful for?
Well, Sam, I think it's been obviously, as you said, a really difficult year for our members, and that's something that's going to be on my mind throughout Thanksgiving. But we all have reasons to be thankful for things, and I think from a work perspective, I'm really thankful that we have a profession of people who really care about each other, and have certainly felt this impact collectively as a group. And I think the fact that we care and we are committed defines CoSIDA. It separates CoSIDA from a lot of other organizations. I think all of us, particularly on the board, are heartbroken when we see our members lose their jobs. But I'm really proud of how people are dealing with the problems right now. How about you?
Without a doubt, our membership has really gathered and rallied around each other during these difficult times. And it's been great to see our organization help our members as much as possible. And I also like from a campus perspective, I'm just very thankful for our students and our student athletes at our institutions. And I want to take a minute to just thank our institutions who are, taking the precautions necessary to keep our faculty, staff, and students safe during this pandemic. I know it cannot be easy. It's been a lot of very difficult decisions, but want to stress and emphasize everybody's safety and health during this Thanksgiving. And hopefully you are able to join your family virtually or at a safe distance this Thanksgiving. So definitely thinking of all our members during this Thanksgiving. So let's jump into a few recent announcements from CoSIDA. Doug, you have the pleasure to be working with the USBWA, the United States Basketball Writers Association, along with different various members of CoSIDA. You guys recently announced the media guidelines for basketball. Can you give a little update on what entails in that announcement?
Sure. And I want to mention that tomorrow CoSIDA is hosting a webinar involving our members and USBWA members, including Seth Davis and Malcolm Moran. So I would encourage people, if they have questions or want to get more insight, to look for that. It'll be at 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. The experience was really good, and those people who participated, were very helpful. We had a cross section of SIDs, Division I, College Division, representing women's basketball, the NCAA. So we tried to get different perspectives and look and examine all the potential issues There are no easy answers, and these should be considered guidelines. They're not policy. Everybody's situation dictates something unique, something different, and we recognize that not everybody was going to be able to have a media workroom, and in some places there are some very severe restrictions on media being there, on photographers. So if anybody wants to see it, we have it posted on the website. But the collaboration with Malcolm Moran, who's the Executive Director of the USPWA, was really enjoyable. He's a great friend of our organization, cares deeply, and those kind of situations and opportunities for us are really important.
And no doubt, Malcolm's always been a great ally to CoSIDA. It's great to be working with him and Seth Davis, the president for USPWA this year. I look forward to see how these guidelines impact basketball starting up right, in the next week or two. So looking forward to that. Another announcement that came out recently was CoSIDA's membership donation fund. And this is something that we've heard from various members within our organization about how they can help other members when it comes to membership this year. And we understand certain members are facing financial difficulties. So we established a fund and an opportunity where CoSIDA members or people at large that like to donate can go to CoSIDA.com/donate. Doug, how do you feel this donation fund will impact members that are in need?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, we represent an organization of people who care. And as memberships are a difficulty for many of our previous members, I mean, I've heard it firsthand in talking to people. This was an idea to give our members an opportunity to give back and help those who cannot join. I received a call from a past president not too long ago, and this person wanted to donate 5 memberships anonymously and wanted to know how to do it. So we took that idea and grew it, and we're going to do the same thing with our corporate partners. So if we can open up an opportunity for someone to be a member who can't be, who was not budgeted to be, we have an obligation to explore that. So I hope we're able to help a lot of people be members of CoSIDA this year.
Without a doubt, I think this is a great opportunity, and our members have always rallied around each other. So again, if you're interested in making a donation, please take a moment to go to CoSIDA.com/donate. Last thing on our opening segment here, talking about the spring semester, it's already upon us, and preparations are underway for how SIDs are going to be covering winter and spring sports. I know last week we had our 2-part series of Bracing for Impact, strategies for supporting and hosting events in winter and spring of 2021. If you missed those episodes live, you can watch them on demand at CoSIDA.com. Doug, what did you take from those presentations? We had 2 different levels. Part 1 was a college division, and part 2 was university division, Division 1. It was really interesting to see some of the different participants, from ADs to facility managers, as a part of those webinars. But what did you take away when you saw those recent presentations?
Well, I think one of the things, and I figured this going into it, but this is going to be a group enterprise. Everyone who's involved with hosting events is going to have to recognize the challenges everyone is facing and help each other. And I think there's a lot of thought that has been given in how this is going to work and how people are going to deal with a multi-layer of events on campus. A lot of times at the very same time, it's going to be a big strain on our members, but our members have the ability to rise to the occasion. I feel concerned for them because of the number of hours this is going to bring upon them, but I feel confident at the end of the day, they're all going to get the job done. And I think this will help trigger some thought into how things are going to happen for everybody.
Well, that's our leadoff segment for CoSIDA Conversations. We'll be back in a moment with our guest, Denise Thompson. CoSIDA Conversations is made possible thanks to one of our corporate partners, Blinder. Connect instantly with anyone through any device, capture multi-channel HD recordings, and collaborate with your remote team to create amazing content. Learn more about Blinder at blinderhq.com. We greatly appreciate Blinder's involvement and continued support of CoSIDA and our profession. Welcome back to CoSIDA Conversations. We are now pleased to welcome in Denise Thompson from the Big Sky Conference and a 3-year member of the CoSIDA Executive Board of Directors. This fall, Denise took over chairing our Racial and Social Justice Initiative Working Group. We are thrilled to have Denise here to share information on this group and her own personal views and perspectives. Hello, Denise.
Hello. Thanks for having me today. I appreciate it.
Our first question is, how did the Racial and Social Justice Initiative Working Group come together and why?
Well, first, I'd like to say that I think that CoSIDA has been a huge advocate when it comes to diversity, even before any of the unfortunate things that have happened during 2020. But with that said, between a mixed variety of CoSIDA members, CoSIDA staff, and board, the Racial and Social Justice Working Group came along. And I think the real purpose was to address ways to better educate our CoSIDA members on the topics of racial and social justice.
Denise, I'll ask the next question. What does it mean to you to chair this particular committee? How does it touch you to have that responsibility? It's a big one.
Yeah, I think you hit the nose right on the head when you say that it's a big one. But I think, I'm just blessed and very fortunate enough that somewhere along the way, you guys thought that I would be an okay person to do this. And so because of that, I have just taken, like I said, the bull by the horn and tried to do as much as possible to lead this group with the different initiatives, with a very diverse thought process of who are we going to have as our panelists, who is part of our working group to get there, and what topics do we really need to touch on, and the importance of when those need to go out. So for me, I don't think words can really express how grateful I am to be able to have this opportunity, but I am doing my best, and hopefully we are creating enough diverse content that after people listen and watch our webinars, who are also on demand, that it is a great opportunity for them to then take it and then speak to the next person after that. And I think that's one of the main goals of why I'm able to, just be happy in this position.
Denise, what would you say was a couple of your future panel topics? What would they look like?
Yeah, so I think one of them is how to have courageous conversations. And I think that just might be one of the big ones. A lot of times there's a topic on the table that needs to be discussed, but people don't really know how to go about it. So we want to think, how can you have that conversation? What does that look like? What are the steps involved in it? Because right now there's no reason to be afraid. We all want to learn. We all want to do better. And so we think that especially when we're working with a diverse group of student athletes, coaches, staff members, administrators, that you're going to have to learn as much as possible to build in this profession. And so that is one of the important ones that we have. And then another one we have is how to continue the conversation. There's been a lot of different organizations and schools and conference offices out there who have started it, whether it's George Floyd or any other unfortunate incident that has happened in 2020. But how do you continue the conversation? We don't want these to be moments. It's great to have a teaching moment, but we want to figure out how can you now educate so that we don't have to backtrack or be going through any of this 5 years down the line. So we think with the right panelists in the right group and the right questions being asked, that those, whether you're serving on the panel or listening in, will be able to once again spread that word to everyone else on how to continue that conversation and let it know that this is just not a moment, this is a movement, and we're trying to move in a positive direction from here forward.
Denise, you touched on this a little bit, but I want to kind of go forward a little bit more. Talk about the importance of bringing diversity to these sessions. Obviously, this is a message for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, I think it's great. I think in athletics, there are people from so many different backgrounds, whether that is where you grew up, what do you look like, what your job description is, or the experiences that you have. So I think for us, we have been fortunate to have tremendous panelists join us, in the past, whether that's current athletic directors, former athletic directors, speaking consultants, faculty athletic reps, communicators in their current position who have gone through all these different things. I think for us, having that diverse group, whether it's male, female, with an academics background or more of a compliance background, or maybe, as an FAR, what is it that might be a former student athlete? So I think that everyone has a story to tell. And by bringing all those different backgrounds together, I think that that is what maybe makes our topics and our webinars so unique, because in communications, we come across so many different people and we're here to tell that story. So I think as our panelists, yes, they're giving their background and their discussion, they're leading how the panels are going. They're also bringing you into their light, into what they have learned, to then make you leave saying, you know what, I believe what that person said. They said a lot of things that related to me, and that's what's making it more important. CoSIDA is not bringing in fluff. Anyone should just do it. They're bringing in real people who want to make a difference, and that's why hopefully the people are tuning into the webinars.
Yeah, Denise, it really seems like a staple of these critical conversations is ending the webinars with key takeaways. Who came up with that idea as far as formatting your webinars with that, and what is something or key takeaway that really stuck out to you?
So that would be me. I think that, especially during the summer, we're on so many different Zooms and Google meetings and go-tos and everything that, that there might be blinders, that it's one of those, it's like, by the time you're done, you're just so ready to turn off your computer, and you maybe don't remember any of the good things that maybe happened in the beginning or the end. So I think one of the good things is there's so many things, whether it's resource links after, but how do you really grasp the attention of those attendees right before they leave? So I think it's always very beneficial for every panelist right before they're signing off to say, hey, what are these 2 or 3 takeaways that they want the audience to leave with? Whether that's something that's going to make them remember to tell someone else, whether that's something for them to now look inside of themselves and say, hey, we want an allyship. Was I an ally before? And really asking yourselves those kind of questions for you to be like, you know what, I want to continue this discussion afterwards. So I like all takeaways. I don't necessarily have one in particular, but I just think that anyone that gauges you to think a little more, and my thought is, if it makes you want to tweet afterwards or put a post about it, then it was pretty good. And so I think that those little things are what hopefully will continue to bring people coming back, because they always want to leave our webinars with takeaways.
There's been some great panelists too. And Doug, I know you've been a participant and watched those critical conversations as well. It's great seeing our membership interacting, especially socially, about that, and hopefully on their campuses.
Without a question, Sam, this is one of the best things we've done as an organization. I'm really proud of it. And Denise, I don't want to let you get away without giving the opportunity to talk about something that I think is more personal in nature, from people who care deeply about this issue, and that's the Through the Lens program that we've developed. Tell everybody a little bit about that.
Ooh, absolutely. So Through My Lens is an opportunity for us to really share our story in a platform that we choose. And I think as communicators, that is one of the better things. We're sometimes doing a lot of things for others, but now it's our opportunity to share our story, whether that is through a video, whether that's a letter to ourselves or a podcast. And really, it can be about whatever you want to share. Mine has not come yet. Mine will be in January. But, we have one out already from Just Pull. And I think it is a great opportunity to allow people in that may not know something about us. Now, whether that's someone talking about how they were a first-generation college student and how they've gotten to where they are now, maybe it's their experiences and a mentor early on in their position in their life and where they were, or maybe it was someone who maybe lost track early on in life and didn't have necessarily all the positive things going for them. And now they're able to tell their success story and show where they are. So I think the best thing about Through My Lens is it's allowing people to see it through them, where they have come from, where they still want to go, and to bring people along their journey with them.
Well, Denise, thank you for spending time with us today. We are very grateful and thankful for your leadership with this working group. we look forward to seeing you through my lens in January. And for more information about CoSIDA's Racial and Social Justice Initiative, please head over to CoSIDA.com/CoSIDA for Change. And if you're on social media, please use the hashtag CoSIDA for Change.
Thank you, Sam and Doug.
Thank you, Denise.
CoSIDA special award nominations are now being accepted until January 24th, 2021. This is a great time to recognize a colleague, mentor, or someone you think deserves recognition in the sports information field. There are many different categories from Rising Star to Hall of Fame. Also, don't forget about the 25-year award. A reminder that awards are for current CoSIDA members only. Simply log on to CoSIDA.com/awards to nominate today. And now we open up our mailbag, Doug. We got a couple more questions this past couple of weeks. We go to Judy Wilson, a former past president of CoSIDA and works at LSU. She chimes in with a question and a suggestion. She wrote, "Dear Sam and Doug, thank you for these CoSIDA conversations. I have a question and a suggestion. The question is, what are some of the retirement jobs that SIDs have done when they've stepped away from a full-time career? And a suggestion is, please have some extended conversations with recent CoSIDA Hall of Fame inductees and members of the 2020 class." Judy, thanks for the email and the suggestion and question. Without a doubt, we will continue to have different guests during our CoSIDA conversations, and we'll feature different people. So we appreciate that suggestion. As far as the question, some of the retirement jobs that SIDs have done, Doug, it seems like it really varies. You know, I think some people stick in the PR field. Some people, after being in the SID field for a long time. How about yourself? What have you seen with some of your fellow colleagues that have been SIDs and gone on to retire?
Well, I sincerely hope those people who retire. They've worked so hard during their career as SIDs, and they deserve that good life that they haven't been able to enjoy. But I think it just depends on what stage you are. I know of a member who stays very busy, and he works as a golf course marshal. He's also very much into music, so he does things in that realm. I also know an SID who retired, but really didn't retire. He stayed on and worked part-time for his school, for his athletic department. So, SIDs have a lot of communication skills, so there's a lot of opportunities. If they want to continue to work, if they want to continue to use their skills, or there's a lot of different jobs out there people can take up.
And it really feels too like once an SID, always an SID. I feel like a lot of our members who end up retiring, they always end up at a game sometime, someplace, either volunteering or helping out on that staff. It's tough to take a SID and have them completely retire from the game.
Yeah, one other position comes to mind. I know an SID who opened up his own PR agency, and a couple of those people actually, when I think about it. So that's utilizing their knowledge and their skills and their ability to and take it forward and to help themselves in a different career.
Many different skills. Our next question is actually an anonymous question. The person didn't put in their name or organization, but what are your thoughts on there being accreditation for an SID? Kind of similar to the PRSA designation. I know that this is something that the CoSIDA board has kicked around over the years, it seems like, as far as trying to get SIDs accredited. It would be a major undertaking for an organization like CoSIDA to get that up and running. But it does seem like there could be something where, some schools continue to maybe use part-time SIDs, or they might use a student in certain situations, and that person may not be completely up to speed on the rules and knowledge of what it takes to be an SID. But Doug, do you feel like, would we see a time where CoSIDA could spearhead accreditation for our members?
I think it's something, as you mentioned, that boards have talked about over the years, and it is a huge undertaking and a big commitment. And yeah, I think I think there's something there that we need to pursue. I think it comes down to the value of it. Why is an SID wanting to get accreditation? Is it going to help him or her in their career? Is it going to help them in their financial situation, their pay scale? There has to be a value attached to it because it's a big commitment for those folks to do it as well. So, but I think it's a concept we need to continue to seriously look at as we move forward.
Our last question comes from CoSIDA board member Lenny Wright from Mount Union, and he asks, what advice do you have for SIDs heading into the holiday season and probably working remotely while preparing for an uncertain winter and spring? Thanks, Lenny, for the question. As we head into these holidays, a lot of us are still working remotely, and I'm sure feeling out of touch and not being on campus or not being able to see your colleagues. And this can be a lonely time for a lot of our members heading into the holidays. And I think it's a good reminder to reach out and to communicate as best we can, sending a text, even a tweet, being on social media, checking in on people. Doug, what do you think heading into Thanksgiving and then into the holiday season in December? What CoSIDA members should be doing that reach out to fellow CoSIDA members?
Well, I think that's you said it well. Mental health is a big issue for our members, for everybody in this pandemic age. But the other piece of advice that I'd offer is don't eat too much. Try to take care of yourself physically. Try to exercise. I really think that's really important for all of us, and it's very helpful. And CoSIDA, through the Goodwill and Wellness Committee, has really stressed that and giving kind of incentives for people to physically exercise and get involved. But caring about each other, that's to me is about as important as it is during this holiday period.
Right, and we're still living through a pandemic, so reminder, we need to continue to follow COVID-19 protocols and being safe when we're out and about. Lenny did write a great blog when he was D3CoSIDA president 2 years ago, where he shared his thanks for various people in the SID field that impacted his career. But he also gave some great ideas for giving thanks to many people in the SID field, and we'll share that again through our social media and check that out.
Yeah, so, I do want to wish a belated happy birthday to Lenny, who had his birthday last week. So
there you go. Happy birthday, Lenny. Thanks for all you do for CoSIDA and SID profession as well. We appreciate your leadership. A reminder to keep submitting your mailbag questions. Log on to CoSIDA.com/askCoSIDA. We look forward to answering further questions on our next episode of CoSIDA Conversations. So on behalf of CoSIDA Executive Director Doug Vance, and myself, and also our entire executive board of directors and staff, we would like to wish each and every one of you a safe and healthy Thanksgiving. We look forward to speaking with you next month on CoSIDA Conversations.